Morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason, happy Thursday. Yeah, we're close. One more day. Another crazy week getting ready to end in the books. We've had our first gold pullback of the year, and I'm going to tell you right now, it will not last very long. But here's the good news. You can buy for less, and I highly, highly recommend that you do it. Do not wait, as we know now, right? $40, $50, $60, $70, $100 move is nothing anymore. It's nothing. I mean, those used to be huge moves in gold. You know, when I started 20 plus years ago, gold was $300. $3,300 or $3,200 or $3,000, $300. And it is, China's on holiday. There was some profit taking that the Chinese took before the holiday. Get in and do it before Monday. That is my suggestion. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium. By the way, those platinum eagles, I'm letting you essentially take them for next to nothing here. We had 60 of them. We sold 40 of them. So that means there's 20 left. They're $550. Well, you're adding to your gold. Pick them up and do that again before they're gone. allamericangold.com is the website. We had plenty of data out today. Let's start with jobless claims. So we were talking about, hey, well, the number's been 220,000 pretty much all year. Not so fast. We'll see. Is this a outlier or is this going to be the new trend? So far, employer layoff announcement. 602,493. So that's, remember, this is Challenger Great Christmas. Big companies, when they're going to lay off, every state has different rules. Most states are, hey, if you're going to lay off 50 or more people, you got to tell us ahead of time. Right? You got to let us know that you're doing it, and you got to let us know ahead of time. Challenger Great Christmas, they're the ones that track it. 602,493 jobs. How does that relate to last year? Well, almost double. Last year at this time, 322,000. So we're definitely seeing more companies saying, hey, we're going to lay off. When we look at the number of people filing for unemployment for the very first time this week, 241,000. So remember, 220. Remember, I've been saying, I'll just say 220. The expectations was 223. So, yes, this is a higher number. It's not outrageous. It could be concerning. The only thing that worries me is New York is where they had a huge surge in the non-seasonally adjusted numbers, by the way. Continuing claims surged back above 1.9 million. So this is something, again, Wall Street kind of friendly, right? They're, okay, well, rate cuts, we can still do them. We got good earnings from Microsoft and Meta. Now, Meta did say, of course, Meta, Facebook, Zuckerberg, okay, the ad revenue is starting to fall. And we generated a lot of ad revenue from Temu, Shein, right, the Chinese companies. They're like, okay, we're starting to see that right now. But then we had really bad earnings, starting with McDonald's. which was, again, I think viewed as good news because McDonald's is a very good, think about this. McDonald's now is let's face it, they're a very big indicator for how the consumer is doing, and mostly, let's face it, I would say the lower end consumer. I don't know how much the uber rich eat at McDonald's. I'm sure they do, but I don't think they do it a lot. But McDonald's not very good at all. Same store U.S. sales down 3.6%. So that was the worst drop going back to COVID, right? When everyone was told don't go outside. You don't see that very often. McDonald's with a negative same store, especially over 3%. That's pretty significant. Then General Motors. Remember, Donald Trump kind of gave reprieves to the automakers. Said they've done the math to it now. GM says that the tariffs are going to cost an extra $5 billion, but believe it or not, GM's up today. I'm not sure how that worked, but maybe somebody was expecting that to be a little more. And then Starbucks. Yeah. Those Starbucks drinks, they're expensive. They missed. Saying that, people are not buying as many Starbucks. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Final chance here on half-ounce platinum American Eagles. I mean, you're literally buying them for what the wholesalers will buy them for. There's only 20 left. They're $550, but stay tuned. We've got other big sales to share with you in just a little bit. But let's take a quick look here at the market. So the Dow's up almost 400 points. Here's what's good. Mag 7 minus Tesla. Mag 7 minus Tesla, good. Elon Musk going to work less at Doge, so even Tesla getting a little bit of a break here. Like I said, really good earnings out of Meta and out of Microsoft yesterday. So the tech Mag 7 trade kind of back on, at least for the day. Everything else, perfect, right? McDonald's, Starbucks, right? Jobless claims. Look at yesterday's private sector jobs number, all worse than expected. And I think that's setting up here for the rate cuts that the president keeps grilling them on. By the way, the 10-year note's actually up today. Yeah, we got a lot of debt to sell, right? Don't forget, is it next week? Yeah, next week. Next week, the Treasury, well, they got to sell another $125 billion just to keep the thing going. And then today, the Pentagon, they're trying to work through Congress right now. Hey, forget about the great big deal and the tax cuts and all this. Hey, can we real quick, can everyone agree, can we give the Pentagon another $150 billion? That's what they say they need. So that'll put defense spending at well over $1 trillion. I'm not sure even what it all is. I didn't take the time to read it, but that's what's working through right now. Crude oil, maybe interesting here. It's higher today, but it's only 58.5. As word is, Saudi Arabia, and I always hate that, right? Because usually that you hear those things and then it ends up not being true. But Saudi Arabia may be willing to have some lower oil prices, which had obviously gotten oil below 60. Gold right now, $32.20, down $68. Absolute screaming buy here. It's been as low as 3,200. So 3,200, just so you know, it's not technical support, but it's above the 50-day moving average, and like 31.75, 31.50, but we're right at the 30 or that 50-day moving average, and I think it's perfect here. It's a perfect setup. China's on holiday. They took a bunch of profits over the last few days before the holiday. They'll be back on Monday. Take advantage here. Take advantage, and we'll give you an opportunity to do that. Silver's off a little bit, not a lot, but down 29 cents here, 32.30. Platinum, 960. Palladium, 936. And again, I think the setup here is perfect. And it was hard for it not to be. And I guess let me say that because there wasn't a good choice, right? It was like, okay, what bad choices are we going to, of all the bad choices, which ones are we going to pick? Donald Trump wants to spend. Right? Tax cuts will increase revenue. It did on the corporate side when Trump did it the first time, because it let corporations bring money home and not have to pay as much tax on it. All this you're going to do is continue. It won't be like it was last. I'm just telling you, it's just not going to be, because it's already that rate. So whatever they're bringing home, and whatever they're not bringing home, they're not bringing it home. Leaving it at that rate won't fix it. If it actually don't leave it at that rate, goes back to where it was supposed to be, then it'd actually be less. But I don't think that will happen. I'm expecting major rate cuts. I know Jay Powell, the Fed, listen, they're still saying no. Not going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm expecting another bond market tantrum. Matter of fact, if you actually read, and it's boring, so just take my word for it, with the Treasury, when they came out and said, okay, we need to sell next week another $125 billion worth of stuff, worth of debt. One of the things that they said was, oh, by the way, we may have to buy U.S. debt. Of course, they're the ones that issue it. So why would they have to buy it? Well, they're saying because we don't know about market liquidity, and basically saying, and we don't trust the Fed to quite figure it out. So in other words, maybe, we may have to take a pothole out of the market. Because if we don't, but that pothole is going to grow, and then all of a sudden we're going to need the Fed and a huge bailout. I think it's coming anyway. Be ready. Hammer, and I mean hammer, the pullbacks. Buy, and then buy some more because it is setting up here. There's no other way around when we hear what they want to do. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, hey, let's get this 150 for the Pentagon, 150 billion, because we don't want that on the other stuff, right? Because then they won't be able to say, hey, guys, we didn't blow up the debt, right? They're going to do a couple of things. First, they're going to act like the tax cuts weren't supposed to expire. So what does that do? Why is that important? Well, obviously, by putting them in there, that means less revenue. And remember, Donald Trump also doesn't want to tax tips, doesn't want to tax over, right? He wants to do all this other stuff. By doing that, They can just say, well, the deficit was going to be, let's pick a number, $300 billion higher, but now we'll pretend that it's not. Because we'll just say, well, we'll act like it wasn't going to expire. So even though the debt will go up, let's say $300 billion, they're like, well, we won't count that. We'll just count the other stuff, right? So this is their plan. And it's a good plan. Why? Well, because they can go out on TV and say, well, you know, with some rosy projections, you know, the debt really won't go up. I'm almost positive that is what they're going to do. They'll overvalue the tariffs. They will overvalue the revenue, and they will overvalue the strength of the economy, and therefore try to say, hey, no, don't worry. The debt's not going to go up. I'm going to tell you right now, I think easy, pencil in $500 billion. I think that's a no-brainer. And the markets can't absorb it. And this is why you continue to see flight to quality, flight to gold. I mean, listen, we had a negative GDP print yesterday. Negative. We had a stock market rally. We had a 10-year note. Listen, the 10-year note, it should be like, I don't know, pushing 4. Maybe in the 3s, high 3s. It's 420. And I'm not talking about weed. Why? Well, the bond market's saying, well, look at what these clowns are getting ready to do. I call them clowns. I don't know what else to say. And I get it. What's the other choice? Don't spend. Right? That's the other choice. Don't spend. Cut. Actually cut. Did you see Doge? Did you see? I guess they're getting ready to wrap it up here. 160 billion is kind of the number they're trying to float around, and most of that's just job cuts. Kind of disappointed, right? I remember it was $2 trillion, and then they said $1 trillion. Yeah, we're probably, that sounds about right, right? And I know, listen, don't get me wrong. 160 billion, if that's the number, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But the way we rack up debt, that's not even a month, right? I mean, it's just not. And of course, I told you that was going to be. This is why this is kind of the calm before the storm. So we had the nervousness, right? Wall Street, right? They're still hoping and praying, right? Everyone's got the hopium out. There's going to be a trade deal sometime. India's going to be first. I'm going to tell you right now, I already know what's going to happen. India's already committed to buying a crap load of Boeing planes. They're going to add to that number, and then they're going to pretend that India didn't already order. They've already got orders, and they do, of over $500 billion for Boeing planes. And they're going to pretend that didn't happen and then come out and tell you, oh, look, they've agreed to buy $700 billion of planes, something like that. You know how they do. Just be ready. I don't think the great trade deals that they kept telling us are coming, they're not coming. And maybe in cars, maybe you'll get some job growth. Outside of that, look at Apple. Apple's already said, well, we'll just ship stuff to India and do it through India. Of course, that's so funny. That's going to make the trade deficit with India get worse. I don't know. Who knows? That's why, like I said, whether you love Trump, don't love Trump, it doesn't matter. And I've said this, and I will continue to say this. At least he has a plan. And is it a good plan? No. But there was no good plans. All right, how many times do I have to say it, right? There was no good plans. He picked one. And it was the one that all of us always thought all along. They're going to spend incredible amounts of money, even with all the cuts and everything. And there's, I don't know how many exactly there are, right? They're pretty elusive. We're actually spending more, the government, this year than we did last year. You're like, well, how can that be? Interest. Interest on the debt is a killer. And I get it. Donald Trump knows this as well. He needs Jay Powell to cut these rates. He needs the interest for the debt to go down. If it doesn't go down, listen, if we stay at 4%, we could have close to a $3 trillion budget deficit. That's the facts. That's why he's so desperate to get them down. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back. We've got some great specials. They're all coming up next. 800-951-0592. We got a bunch of small specials today. The platinum, the half-ounce platinum American Eagles. $550. Go look. It's $100, $150, $200 less than anybody else. I've got, and these walked in yesterday, I've got 25 rolls of 1990 Silver Eagles. Now, I went and I looked. If you can find them, like Atmex as an example, $57 a coin, $1,140 a roll. eBay, $49. Some are higher. I think one guy had one that was really toned for like $42. I'm going to hold these up for you. These are the rolls of 1990s. And they've got, some of them more than others, have some what we call rim toning, and has more to do with the tops than anything else. The 1990 tops are not super tight, so a little air can get in there. So they've got some toning on the rims, but the coins themselves they're perfect. Look at them; they're perfect. Some rim toning rolls. Here's what we're going to do. Listen, a regular roll, 2025. You're looking at $795. I should sell these for at least, I don't know, $800. You know, probably more than that. That's not. That's not what we do. 25 rolls, 1990. I'm going to make them the cheapest Silver Eagles we have. $775. Now, you got to remember, I only got 25 rolls. That's it. $775. You buy 5 rolls or more, $770. How's that? Can't beat it, right? That's if you buy a roll, that's like silver losing another dollar an ounce, right? Because instead of $795, $775, so I'm giving you another buck off. If you buy 5 rolls or more, I'll go even lower, $770 at 800-951-0592. And then on the gold side, I told you I'd give you an opportunity here. $20 gold pieces, $3,450. So you think about it, gosh, I mean, silver been over $3,600. Well, we had a big sale last week, like $35.95, no, $3,450 at 800-951-0592, and again, take advantage of these pullbacks. But, Jason, I'm just telling you, the two best items by far, these half-ounce Platinum Eagles, just to give you an idea, I want to give you an idea. So, all the platinum and palladium has gone out of stock. So, and these are, I'll be honest, like platinum and palladium, like bars, they're never out of stock. Right? They're always around. Whether it's the Canadian or the Australian mints, they're gone. It's weird, right? But it shouldn't be. Right? People are clamoring for things that are real. Today, all of a sudden, the palladium maple leaf came back in stock, okay? And now, well, guess what? Now it's out of stock. Just like that. So it was $175 over. That's normally like for an American Platinum Eagle, they charge that kind of premium. They were trying to now get this on these Platinum, $175. Oh, Platinum's $960. That's $1,100, over $1,100, $567.50 on a half of an ounce cost before you put on the markups. These are $550 and they're American, and they always have the biggest premiums. As Jason and I told you yesterday, they just don't make. They don't make it. They tear up the machines. Platinum's a hard metal, and then the next. So that's number one. These 1990 Silver Eagles are a no-brainer. We're starting to look here, and it's funny, like 86, 87, 88, 89, if they're perfect, there can be a premium. 91, 92, there's a premium, but the 90, for whatever reason, is starting to act like 95, 96, and 97, right? So, Jason, this is kind of one of those, all of a sudden now, dates in these Silver Eagles that is getting harder to find.
And that year, once again, just so everyone...
1990.
1990. So, because, I've been doing this stuff for a while, and 1990 was just kind of a... it was the earlier year.
Yeah, it was,
So
right?
What you're saying is it because of melting and anything else? I mean, is there anything else besides what you mentioned that would make this more rare? Because the mintage number has been there for a while.
Yeah, and I don't, it's a great question. Is my guess, this is just me guessing. Like I said, the tops of it, they weren't the best, right? So they were a little loose, and I think a lot of
high grade ones, yeah.
Right, so people were kind of going through and pilfering through, and now all of a sudden, 1990s are a no get, right? I went on to a bunch of the big guys' websites; they don't have them. We don't do that. We don't list Silver Eagles by date. We don't care, and I'm proving it to you today. I'm giving you an opportunity to buy these rolls of silver for less than a regular roll of Silver Eagles. And yet this is actually what? This is we call them plus dates. I didn't even know they were plus dates until I kind of looked it up there. I was like, wow, this is insane. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Japan has now slashed its growth forecast. The yen plunging on that news. Listen, this is a bear market rally in Wall Street. I hate to tell you this, but it's the truth. Be very careful here. Medicaid, SALT, and SNAP now. Big divisions in this budget, whether or not they can meet the deadline here. Listen, it's just, there's no good option there either. I'm just going to tell you guys. And it's going to get ugly. Can the Republicans get it by with the Trump budget? I mean, they can lose like a vote or two. That's it, right? They got to really hunker down to do it. It's going to add significant debt. Just understand it. I know they're going to tell you it's not. Don't fall for it again. Listen, here's the good news. We know what the plan is, at least. Right? They want to spend their way out. We know the plan. It's easy. $20 gold pieces. $34.50. Heck yes. Sign me up. 1990 rolls of Silver Eagles. I only had 25 to begin with. I've got 3 lines still open. We only have one of the girls on the phone right now. I only had 25 rolls of them. If you buy 5 rolls or more, take them down to $7.70. And then I just looked because I was curious. Half-ounce Platinum Eagles. God, we hardly mint them ever. Like, we'll go years without minting them. And the biggest mintage year, there was one year they minted 32,000. That was it. Most of the years, they mint less than 12,000. They mint about 10,000, 11,000. That's it. They don't make a lot of these. And like I said, most years are zero. So these things don't happen often. $550. I know it's a lot. You're like, gosh, that's 3 things. I know, but you guys can do it. $20 gold, $34.50. 1990 Silver Eagles. Cheaper than regular Silver Eagles. Right? That's why. Why are we better than everybody? That's why. Or we're just dumber. I don't know. That's debatable, right? We could be dumber. $775. And I showed you to. Listen, some of them got some toning on the rims, right? But when you look inside, these things are just spectacular. I got to adjust. So those of you that can watch us on YouTube or Rumble, you guys can see. And like I said, everybody wants $50 and $60 a coin. Well, you can pay $1,000 a roll. You can pay $1,100 a roll. Or call me. $775, buy 5 rolls or more. $770. Right? And then, you right, $20 gold, $34.50. The half-ounce platinum. Got to remember the platinum. I got less than 20 of those now, right? I mean, we just don't have very many, but buy them while we got them. $550. Jason, you can't go wrong with any of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that the Silver Eagle coins have been minted for 40 years now, practically, right?
Right.
1986. I guess you could say 2026 is 40 years, but there's 40 years of U.S. Silver Eagle design, so you're bound to have things like this, Joe, where people want to collect. I mean, like the Franklin $half was only 15 years. That coin didn't even last very long, right? No. I mean, most of the designs we have on coins have lasted a long, long time, except for when they changed the designs. But so it's bound to have these coins. It's going to take a while for them to be true collectibles, but enough years go by, right, Joe? And enough. Hey, the buying and selling of gold and silver can get to a fevered pitch at some point where these coins could get melted down, just like the old junk silver, right, Joe? I mean, we talked earlier this year and late last year about how a lot of gold eagles were being sent to the smelters and being melted.
Yep.
right? To be melted in these deliverable 100-ounce gold bars, right, for COMEX delivery. So as time goes on, even though these weren't spent in circulation, which makes them more rare quickly, the early tubes, as Joe's showing you the tubes, sometimes the tube's plastic is or there's a little bit of air because the funny thing is it's hard to get these rolls pristine and in good shape because they've been passed around, moved around. People want to make sets or they break a roll because they only want to sell a few of them, and so it is there's a couple of extra bells and whistles, which doesn't matter at all because what we sell is gold and silver, and Joe's already set this price below as a sale price for just Silver Eagles in general. So it's a good way to get in. If you want to get Silver Eagles, here they are, right, Joe? Good way to get them.
Yeah, a great way.
Platinum too,
to get in, and I love it because I'm going to make them even less expensive, which kind of adds to it. It's a cool thing, right? I don't know is 1990 going to be that coin? Like we said, we know about 95s, 96, and 97. But remember, when I first started, here's the funny thing. When I first started over 20 years ago, it was only 1996. It was the only one. They had the lowest mintage, just under 4 million ounces. Well, the 1990s, it's less than 6 million. 5 million and change, right? So these lower mintage years are starting to really carry the premium. And it makes sense, right? Because more and more people are buying gold and silver than ever before. It just makes sense. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Final segment here. Patriot Radio News Hour on this Thursday. Remember, tomorrow we get the government jobs number. My guess is people are probably going to anticipate a lower number after jobless claims today, 241. Remember JOLTS, right? The job openings falling to the lowest level since before COVID. And then, of course, we had private payrolls, only 60,000. So we'll see about that number. But out of Washington, not tariff-related, Republicans are struggling here. They're trying to figure out how to get $880 billion in savings from Medicare and Medicaid. And I don't know. I don't know how you do that. That is going to be a tall task. So and again, this is probably over 10 years. That's what they like to do, $80 billion a year. Here's the thing. That's not enough. And then food stamps. They want to find $230 billion a year in food stamps. And, Jason, we have the most people in the country ever working before. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. The unemployment rate never went below 4%. Never. And if it did, it never stayed there. 5% used to be about normal. Of course, we forgot all about normal. Right? We got the new normals now. And yet, we got more people than ever working, and yet we still got 43 million people on food stamps. Jason, this is a huge problem. Like I said, when this is all said and done, it's going to be an avalanche of spending because this is the path. Hey, they're going with growth, and you know what? I don't blame them. I actually think that's what I would do too, Jason, right? Let's just try to grow because, gosh, if I go the other way, then I know we're going to have a horrible recession.
Yeah, you just want to be careful how you print the money so it's not just obvious that things are going to blow up and get inflated monstrously. You want to nicely blow it up and make it go bigger, right? you got to create a situation where printing the money becomes the only answer, right, Joe? And how many times have they done this, right? It's the only answer. The country's shut down. We have to do it. Well, how much are we going to print? You didn't hear anybody ask during COVID. They were asking, how long is this going to last? Or, what is going to happen? And my kid's going to go back to school? No, nobody asked this. How much money do we need to print? They didn't ask that. And then as all this money was floating around and everybody was buying some digital picture off the internet to try to make a buck, right, Joe? And the prices of all these goods and services were just ballooning and exploding. Nobody stopped to ask, why is all this inflation happening, right, Joe? Nobody asked, why is this happening? That's because of the money supply. And Joe's right. That's the answer when things get tight, and you look at the deficit and the national debt, the interest payments. Inflate your way out of it. That's really the only way, Joe. That's the only way. We'll see what it looks like in the days and months to come.
Yeah. The 10-year. I'm just watching the 10-year note now. 4.23 keeps climbing here. We've got a lot of debt to sell next week, so be ready. It's going to be very, very interesting tomorrow. Boy, that jobs number, I don't even know what to expect. We could get anything tomorrow. We really could. Jump on these prices, you guys. Please. Wait, now you got me begging again. I'm not begging. Do it or don't do it. I don't care. Pay less now or pay more later.